I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? It is a wonderful day, and I have a great artist on the show for you today. Don't you go nowhere. So, like I promised, we have a great artist on the show for you today. You can get us Dream Chasers Radio, Yaya Diamond. Just Google it. Okay, we're done. YouTube, all of that stuff, everything, just everything. But I'm going to bring my artist on. I want to welcome him to the show. Welcome to the show, DirtyWhite. What's up, bro?
Woo! We bike, baby. Yeah. Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, Miss Yaya. Thank you so much. Shout out to Dream Chasers. Shout out to everybody that's involved, man. Shout out to the management. Shout out to yourself. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as the indomitable Mr. Rogers once said.
I loved him when I was little growing up. Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
you know that dude was like ex-army, ex-marine, like Navy sniper, crazy guy. Yeah, you should read some. The dude was crazy. Yeah, he was nuts before he started the show. Yeah, you should go check it. It blew my mind when I read it. But yeah, I'm serious.
Oh my
He was
God.
a hard body. He was a hard body dude before he started the Mr. Rogers show. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to look that up now. You've intrigued me. I have to
Oh,
I have to satiate this
Yeah,
here now. But thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's a blessing to be here. We're, like we said, we're up, we're breathing, we're chasing this music, we're blessing folks out here. Shout out to you and your platform, for being able to put artists on. We need it, all the love we can get. Shout out to my management team, Sean Bonner, Anthony Burkett, my publicist, Miss Tara Thomas, and Miss Lily, as well as Miss Annie Herban for hooking us up, man. It's a beautiful day once again. Let's get it popping.
That's right. That's right. And I want to get back into the beginning of this whole journey for you. When did you know that you wanted to do music as a living?
That's a good question. I was probably, so just to crack it wide open, I'm 28 now. I'm 28, and I think the first time that I actually thought it was realistic, let's say that. So I've been dreaming about being a rock star since I was a little kid. I mean, I know everybody has dreams. Oh, I'm going to be a fireman. I'm going to be me. I grew up in the church. So I was the little 6-year-old, and for Jesus loves me, this I know, and so that music was always very integral in my emotional development and my own personality, right? But to answer your question, I would honestly say I've only been actively promoting myself and making this a career for probably about 4 or 5 years now.
Wow.
So around 22, 23 years old, we all go through our turbulence. We all have our teen years. We sow our wild oats. We do our crazy stuff, all this good stuff, but never letting music get too far to the side, right? But as time, gradually evolved on, there were a couple of key influences in my life. People that were around me are like, dude, you're too good not to do this. Like, why are you just playing for birthday parties when you're asked? You know what I mean? Why aren't you on the radio? Why aren't you on, Spotify? And so, shout out to those guys.
Shout out to those guys, man. I tell you, wow. So obviously it was the people that you had surrounded yourself with that actually saw the talent before you did. When you saw the talent and you began doing this, I mean, what was it like for you? Was it like ding, 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 a light bulb went off like, yeah, you guys are right, man. Why was I waiting?
Ooh, I don't know, man. That's hard to, I don't know. I should answer that question delicately. Let's just say that. So to be quite honest with you, to say the talent, like I knew about the talent really early. Like I was 12, 13 years old. My mom put me in piano lessons. Like, there were things that were done along the way that made me, very aware. And there were plenty of people around me. Like I said, I grew up in church. It's easy for, the church ladies will come up to you and give you a hug. Honey, you're so talented. You're going great places. But no one actually logistically tells you how to make it happen, right, as a career. So you kind of have to take that. But as years went along, like I think, honestly, one of the big first turning point moments was when I came back from, once I said I wandered up and down the East Coast. I did all kinds of crazy mess, there for years. And I came back and I linked up with my good buddy, Young Will. If you guys check him out on Instagram, Young Will 910, he's a DJ, event host, coordinator, etc. We were both super young at the time. Like I was 19, he was, I think, 16, about to turn 17. But lo and behold, he had a studio. His mom, for his birthday, had bought him a laptop and an interface and a mic, and he was going crazy recording all these little local artists, and stuff. And, we had known each other since church days and had gotten separated, right, for years. And when I came back, I bumped into this guy at the Dollar General. It's one of those crazy stories that you never would think would happen. We bumped into each other and we looked like doppelgangers. We both had the red flannel shirt, the black jeans, the Chuck Taylors. You know what I mean? Like we literally looked at each other and we were like, man, I know you. Who? Wait a minute. You're so-and-so. He said, man, I've got a studio. He's like, I know you like to sing. I've heard people talking about you singing. You need to come get in my studio. And there was realistically a development period of probably 4 or 5 years where I really didn't actively promote myself because I knew my sound wasn't ready. I was in the studio day in, day out. Like Lil Wayne says, clock in at 8 at night, leave at 5. You know what I mean? Everything that I could do, going to college, full-time job, every waking moment that wasn't spent on college or employment was spent in the studio. And it took a good 4 or 5 years of that for me to finally develop my sound. And like I said, around the age of 22, 23, between 18 and 22-ish or so, I worked really diligently on my sound. And by the time it was ready, it was ready. And then we started out we launched into the promotion and the career development part of it. So it was a lot due to him. He was like, you got to come get in the studio. He's like, you sing all over the place. You're always singing for events. You're, throwing shows. You've got fans. You just don't have any music out that anyone can listen to. Like, why is that? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you got a point. So then that led to the discussion naturally about, distribution and, the whole nine. So
yeah,
it took a while.
I mean, getting your sound, it does take a minute. And I mean, literally your sound in your 20s, and I can kind of vouch for this, is going to be totally different than the sound in your 30s and so on and so forth down the line. And so we're constantly developing our sound. But your sound is one thing, and the business of music is another. When you went into this whole thing, what was the one thing that kind of threw you for a loop for the business side of music?
I think what blindsided me the most, and this is going to sound a little egotistical, but just take it with a grain of salt. Initially, when I first started doing music, or like when I first started getting in the booth, right, I didn't do a whole lot of singing. First of all, I was like strictly a rapper. Like I just wanted to be Ludacris. I just want to be Slim Shady. I just want to be Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. I didn't care about singing. I didn't do any runs. I didn't do any of that because to me, church and singing were very interconnected. You know what I mean? If I'm not singing for God, there's no reason to sing, right? And it took a long time to weave that out of me where, yes, I feel comfortable singing secular music. And now I'll sing for anybody, anywhere and sing whatever. And it's all good. But the reality is I, for some reason, thought for a while that I could just be in the studio and drop my little songs on SoundCloud and that my transcendent talent was going to bring the crowds flocking. It's not true. It's not true. Maybe in the 50s when, you only get a Johnny Cash every once 20 years, you know what I mean? You only get these certain artists. But now with the oversaturation of the market, even when I started, like we said, 4 or 5 years ago, everyone has a microphone. Everyone has a studio. Everyone's in their mom's basement with auto-tune. And the reality is, for somebody like me, that attitude was really unhealthy. And part of what led to that 4 or 5 year lull where I just worked on my sound. I dropped music. I'm not going to act like I didn't drop music. Like I did drop music, but no one really cared per se. Like my core fans, the people that were originally messing with me, kept on messing with me. But there was no massive growth. There was no exponential like I'm experiencing now, like the influx of, you know what I mean? Like I got a song on Spotify right now with, growing close to 80,000 streams. Like those types of numbers were unimaginable when I was 20 years old, because I would put a song out on YouTube and not promote it, not do anything with it. I'm assuming, well, obviously the first person that hears this is going to share it with everyone they know, and this is going to be a hit. It's not realistic, and that was the thing that really blew my mind, was the fact that no, you have to pick your battles, pick your lanes, pick your promotions, pay attention, network. There's a lot that surrounds it. So you can't just, oh, I'm so fire, this has got to catch, right? Like, nah. Good songs are not made. Good songs are promoted. My good buddy Bobby Dollars from CBT told me that. So, super true. Yeah.
It is so true. It is so true. And you have to do so much to the music. You have to make sure that you have, it's registered here, it's registered there. You got BMI, SESAC, ASCAP. You got to do the copyright,
sound scan, the whole nine.
The whole 9 yards have to be done before you can even release the song.
Yeah, correct. Before you can expect to make any profit off the song, and that's the thing, though. There are some people who have released music and not done any of those things, and the song blew up, and their income from that song, even though it was massive, their income was very, very minimal. Yeah. From the actual release itself, right? It shouldn't be all about money all the time, but inevitably, like you said from the very beginning, if you're trying to make a career or something, you have to pay the light bills.
Yeah, you definitely have to do that. I think you kind of stopped a second. You're glitching.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you stopped. You're like your video stopped.
Mm. Just move on my side. Can you
I'm
see?
not sure. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's probably on your side because I don't see any indication of it being on my side.
Mm.
Log out. Okay, there you go. Your picture backed up. Okay, there you go. You're good.
Good. Good.
Okay, yeah.
All right, sweet. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what that was.
No, it's okay. It happens. It happens. So, okay, so literally the ego, the all infamous ego gets in the way. And, the big head can't fit through the door. I've had it, I mean, people, they should hear you and it should go big. But it doesn't happen like that. Like you said, you do have to promote yourself. You have to put it out there. You have to get someone who knows what they're doing to do that. So moving forward, from that moment, you put out your first album, it got promoted. What happened after that? Because a lot of people don't realize how long it takes to actually move forward from just one song.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a gradual process. And that's one thing that's super important too for any artists that are listening, for anybody that's tuned in. Shout out to every single one of you guys that are listening. But for any artists out there, that are chasing this thing, obviously there are accelerants, right? Like things that you can do to make that process happen faster.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was a gradual learning curve because I'm at the point in my career where, once again, I'm under management. Like I have a promotions team and a publicist and a financier, people that are involved in, moving this train forward. But for the first good little bit of that, it's all on you. If you want to be an independent artist, if you don't have someone backing you, right? If you don't have someone on your side doing these things for you, you have to do it all yourself. So when I first started to drop music and really take my promotion seriously, I started local. Like I knew it wasn't going to happen immediately. I wasn't going to go straight to Billboard. So I gained quite a bit of local traction just by purely just signing up for every show that I could get my hands on. I didn't care whether I had to be paid to be in the show or whether I had to pay to be in the show or whether it was a free show. It didn't matter. At this point, I was still just rapping too, by the way. Like this was all bar play. Like there was no singing. This is not an R&B crowd. This is me spitting straight bars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to show after show after show after show. And I probably did a year and a half worth of just local shows before I built up a substantial enough audience where people would actually come out to see me, right? Where I could pack out a small club, 30, 40 people would show up if I put something out and said, hey, I'm going to perform in 2 weeks over here. You know what I'm saying? It took a while. It took a while to get some local traction. But the greatest part about that is the entire time that was happening, as my audience was growing, as my network is expanding, as I was then gradually starting to expand and go to Charlotte and do shows, I was going to Atlanta. I was meeting promoters. Hey, well, I'm doing a show down in Florida, 2 months from now. You want to come be a part? It inevitably is going to happen like that. If you're dope, you have good energy, people are going to mess with you. They're going to bring you on. They're going to go, oh, yeah, I got this opportunity over here, and make it make sense for you. And as that gradually went along, I feel like the most important thing that I did during that entire time was I upped my quality. That's the first thing, too, on top of everything that I can say for artists now. Don't be afraid to put a budget on yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to spend on yourself. When I first met my management right now, these folks that I'm managed by right now are taking me to heights that I never dreamed were possible. All right, there's some stuff coming up this year that I never thought that I'd be able to be a part of. It's a huge blessing. But the reason that they were attracted to me initially, when my buddy Brent Moore Gaskins, all right, phenomenal guy, great actor, IMBD certified. He's got a brand new movie out right now called Jack Be Nimble. You guys go check that out. He's the one that introduced me to Sean Bonner, my manager. And the reason that one of the main reasons that Sean said that he was attracted to me and wanted to bring me on as part of this project was because of my quality. I have an engineer in Charlotte. I have an engineer here in Wilmington, North Carolina, where I live. I have multiple videographers that shoot with red camera, 4K, phenomenal editors. Dropping budgets on videos, dropping budgets on songs so that when you turn me on Spotify, it doesn't sound like it was mixed by a 5-year-old. You know what I mean? Like you just have to do that. And inevitably, as time went along, that traction grows. People are going to realize that in essence, good music is going to sell itself. You have to promote yourself to stand out from the crowd. But once that momentum starts to shift, keep your quality up. Please keep your quality up. Pay your engineer. Pay your videographer. Don't shoot videos on your iPhone with no stabilizer in the backyard. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I'm offending people. I don't know. I don't want to step on any toes, but hey, it's just reality. When you up your quality overall, your entire image is gonna benefit from that.
Definitely, definitely. I had a gentleman on the show a while ago, and Amityville. Remember that
Hmm.
Amityville? Okay, so the first Amityville, actually, he was on my show. If you go back a couple, maybe like a year or two, you'll see it before the pandemic. He shot the first Amityville, him and his wife, on their iPhone.
Wow.
The whole thing. Even edited on
Wow.
his. He even edited it on the iPhone, and it hit the theaters. He became a multimillionaire, and then he took the iPhone and he shot the second one. So
So he,
it takes a lot, he says, but
well,
he
let me just
wanted
say
to.
that then to just clarify, because once again, projects that come out in those type of circumstances, it it's all about the inequality. And so
That's
when I say
right.
don't shoot a video in your backyard, that's not to say anything about an iPhone or whatever method you're using. But if you're using the gimbal stabilizer, the right
Oh, there
editing
you go
software,
again. You
your
went out again.
quality is going to speak for itself.
You went out for a second.
Can you hear me?
I can see you, but you're frozen. Okay,
Hey, good.
hold on. It's taking a minute. No, you're still frozen.
Give me just a second. Let's see if I can,
Yeah, you're still frozen. Are you still there? You moving? Okay, I
yeah, I'm
got you.
here. Can you hear
Okay.
me? We're
Yeah,
back.
I can hear
Woo!
you. Yeah, we're back. All right. So go
Yeah.
ahead and say that again. Now I'm gonna you go ahead and explain that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and explain why I said that.
Right. Well,
Okay.
basically, what I'm saying is it's the inequality, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
what matters. When you put it on the screen, when you put it on the speakers,
Yeah,
quality is what matters. Quality is what
definitely.
matters. And so if somebody's on their iPhones shoot great video. Don't get me wrong. They
Oh
shoot
yeah,
4K. That's why I made the designation of saying don't shoot it with no stabilizer,
that's right.
with no props, no budget,
Mm-hmm.
no, you know what I mean? Like that's just
Yeah,
take time with your product. You know what I mean? Don't be
right.
afraid to, because you can only drop it once. You know what I mean? There's no reason to rush it and make it hasty and make it sloppy. You know what I mean? Make sure that when you're dropping it,
It
chef's
sounds
kiss.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, he said that he actually it took him a while to edit it. It took him a while to get what he wanted out of it. He had to back it up on the computer to make sure he didn't lose it. He had stabilizers. He had to go, and then the second time around he had a crew, and he wanted to keep that continuity of using the iPhone. So,
Mhm.
but nowadays the technology that you can use on your iPhone is amazing with the stabilizers and this and the lights and the that. I mean, you can definitely do it all on your iPhone. And like you
Yeah.
said, just make sure you know what you're doing and you have the equipment to do it with, because there are many, many programs and reporters now that use their phones to report news. You just don't know what what it
Yeah.
is.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. The quality is definitely
Oh
there. The
yeah.
technology has evolved.
Oh
I
yeah.
just want I just want artists to I really want artists to understand that it's so important to take pride in your work. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
To when you put something out, that you've taken the proper precautions to make sure that when it hits, if I can put it on a big screen and look at it, make it
That's
quality,
right.
make it count.
That's right. Make it
Yeah.
count, make it count. And no matter what I mean, everybody has to begin from somewhere. And where you are today, what kind of advice do you give to people, that may not have a budget? They don't have a manager. They've never really performed, but they're great. Everybody tells them they're great. But what should they do?
Well, I think networking is the key. Networking is really the key. If you have good energy, if you're someone who's able to communicate effectively, right? Um, if you don't have a budget, obviously it's got to come from somewhere, right? And me
Mm-hmm.
originally, I saved for months
Mm.
on the side, scraping pennies as I could to put together a decent enough budget to shoot a video that made sense, right? And I'm not gonna lie, my very first video I shot for $500.
Mm-hmm.
$500, and to me that was a lot of money at the time, right?
Oh,
$500,
hey.
that was a chunk.
Mm-hmm.
And I saved and I saved and I saved and I saved. And shout out to Keem Grady. Excuse me. Shot my very first music video ever. It's called Seasons Change. It's on my YouTube channel right now.
Mm.
$500 is all he charged me. He edited everything. We didn't pay a dime for any of the sets because, once again, networking. I found some people. I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You have a building. Do you know where, where I can go to shoot something like this? Like, can we, we went out in some nature stuff, went out by the river where it's public access. We literally shot in the rain. It was pouring down rain that day. And Keem Grady was shooting. He has the camera and the stabilizer, the big gimbal, and he had one of his buddies behind him with an umbrella, you know, trying to keep the camera out of the rain.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that. You know, that type of grassroots thing. Like if you have to save for a while, just save for a while. It's okay. You can, like I said, you can only put it out once. You know what I mean? Take your time. Once it drops, make sure that's the video right there. You know, that's the one.
Yep. So we talked about your rapping and you rapping. When did you begin to sing?
So I've been singing since I was like 6 or 7 years old. I grew up in the country. I grew up very, very conservative. I grew up very, very religious. I grew up, it was so extreme to the point where, like, you know, I used to have pen pals. Like I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone. Like I would write people, and my parents would read my letters before I could send them. And then they would read my inbound mail before I could read it, type thing. Like when I say conservative, I mean, like we didn't wear Nike because that's advertising for a heathen company. Like we couldn't even hang out with the church kids without supervision. Like even the church kids were too loosely their morals were too loose for us, for my parents' opinions. So it was something. I could tell you some stories, trust me, just to say that. But with that being said, music and religion, singing and religion specifically, because hip hop is beautiful in the sense that it's a fusion of poetry, music, feelings, soul. Like there's so many different elements that go together in hip hop, and that's one reason I fell in love with it. But to me, just to specifically sing, it was so hard to train myself that it's okay. You don't always have to sing about religious stuff.
Right.
And so when I started music, I didn't want to sing. I didn't want to be known for being a singer. To me, it was lesser than what I wanted to do. Right. I wanted to be a rapper. I'm the man's man. I'm saying? I just wanted to make gangsta music. That's all I wanted to do was make gangsta music. And a couple of key people around me. Once again, one of my good friends, Coley, owns a shop here in town. She's a great lady, and she said, "Landon, you sing. Why don't you do a singing album?" I didn't want to hear it. And then one of my best friends in the world, TVM Killer, came to me. He said, "Dude," he's like, "You know what you are?" He's like, "You're R&B curious." I'm like, "What does that even mean?" He's like, "You're R&B curious because all you do is rap for people, but then I hear you in the house singing all day long, and you sing to yourself, and you sing at weddings, and you sing at parties, but you refuse to sing on the microphone in a studio. You're R&B curious. You just won't admit it." He teased me and he teased me and he teased me until finally I said, you know what? I've had it. I'm sick of this. I'll put out an R&B album that'll make you shut up.
Oh my gosh.
He said, "Yeah, it will make me shut up. Put out an R&B album." So that's my Call Me When You Get This album. Once again, on all streaming platforms. You go find me on Apple Music, Spotify, DirtyWhite, all one word. It's super simple. There's an album back in 2019 called Call Me When You Get This. And completely self-produced, self-composed, self-performed, self-arranged. Nobody touched that album except the man that did the vocals, the guy that mixed my vocals, my engineer. He's the only person that laid fingers on that album other than me. Every bit of that album from top to bottom. I played all the instruments. I played all the synths, the drums, the rhythm, the keys, the bass, top to bottom, wrote everything, sung everything. I was very, very proud of that project and still am. There's some good songs on that album. And that was my launch. Right. And I still definitely continue to rap, and I still rap. I dropped a feature verse for my buddy, King J the Blunt Man, like about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. But the singing part, once I broke through that ice, once I realized that my sound could be commercial and that I didn't have to sing about religious stuff to be relative or to be relevant, that just kind of opened up the floodgates. And immediately, as soon as people started listening to that album, features started flooding in. "Hey, come sing me a hook. Come sing me a hook. Come sing me a verse. I need you to, I need you. And it just kept on going after that. So shout out to the people, once again, that were close to me, that literally grabbed me by the collar and shook me and said, "Hey, wake up. What's wrong with you?" Somebody that goes, somebody that's able to do that should do it. Like, you should do it. I'm like, okay, all right. I got you. So took a while to mature into it, basically.
Wow. So now so I have to talk about this because you're DirtyWhite, right? But there's an F in all of your social media and your website. Why?
So somebody on social media has already gotten DirtyWhite before I came along, or before I decided to brand myself as that. That name, incidentally enough, too, quick story. I didn't make that up. DirtyWhite, I didn't make it up at all. I was actually working at a screen printing shop, right? Back when I was, I had to have been 17, 18 years old. Back when I was first, like, really starting to, like I said, get in studios and like tell people that I was rapping, right? Like, "Hey, I rap." buddy of mine, Scott, that I worked with. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called Foreigner. You remember a band from like late
Of
'70s, mid '80s called
course.
Foreigner? So they've got a song. They've got a song. 'Cause I'm a dirty white boy, dirty white boy. I'm a dirty white boy. Anyhow, so they've got this whole thing. And my buddy Scott comes up to me one day in the print shop and he taps me on my shoulder and he said, "I found your song, man." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he pushes play on the intercom, the CD system in the shop. Dirty white boy, it starts going. I just laughed, once again, kind of like the singing thing. I was, man, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, dude. Yeah, no, that's you. You're a dirty white boy. Because, at the time, granted, even though I'm much more PR friendly now, back when I was 19, 20 years old, I had a mouth on me. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say that.
Okay.
And, you know what I'm saying? And I used to just talk a lot of rah-rah, a lot of smack, So dirty white boy fit the profile, right? But I thought it was kind of annoying, to be honest with you. I didn't like it. And I fought it tooth and nail for a good probably 6 to 8 months. And it spread like wildfire. I don't know what in the universe made that a thing. I think it was because people realized that I didn't like it, and they were just messing with me. "Oh, what's up, dirty white? I heard they calling you dirty white boy now, huh? You dirty white, huh?" And they would not let me down. They wouldn't let me live it down. And after a while, I just kind of was like, you know what? Can't beat them, join them, I guess, if that makes sense. So I just had to heck with it, and everything just kind of transpired towards that end, and I, ended up branding myself as such. But now I think it's honestly a blessing, because to me, what's interesting about my whole shtick, I feel like, what kind of makes me meaningful or noticeable is the fact that when I do enter a room, or when I go on stage, or when I'm introduced as Dirty White, and they look at me, and you can't see because of the sleeves, but I'm covered in tattoos, dreads down my back. Everyone immediately assumes what they're going to hear come out of my mouth. And there's nothing that I love more as to walk into a room and to everyone to assume something about me. I love it. I walk in here and everybody's like, "Oh, I know what he's going to do. I know what he's going to sound like." No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. So I just think it's kind of a catch. It's one of those catch. Like I feel like you don't see me more than once or twice before you know what I'm saying, you're immediately able to like recognize, like, "Oh yeah, he blew my mind last time I was in here, such and such and such." I don't know. Once again, without ego, it was stroking my ego too much, but I think that's kind of the catch, basically.
Awesome. And what does the F stand for?
Getting back to that, my fault. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
No, okay.
So when I started branding myself, somebody already has Dirty White.
Right.
Somebody already took it, and I can't get it from them. They won't let me have it. So I added the F because I am a diehard Lil Wayne fan, and have been ever since I heard Pop Bottles, ever since I heard like Father Like Son, ever since I heard, Stunting Like My Daddy. Just don't get me started. Carter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Dedication 1, 2, No Ceiling. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, so I'm not even going to go there. But the F is for phenomenal. Like Wayne has made it a kind of like a signature thing of here. Wheezy F, baby, and the F is for F is for whatever. He may put a number of different words in there, but the F is for phenomenal in my case. And just as a little tribute to him, I don't know if he'll ever know it or ever care or ever see it at all, but it just made sense. Like with the social media, it's like, oh yeah, let's go with it.
Well, I'm calling out to him right now because I know somebody that knows him, and this is going up on AMG Entertainment. So
nice.
You guys at AMG, what's up, guys? What's up, all of you guys there? Hey, get this video out to him. You got a big fan in Dirty White there, Lil Wayne. Man,
hey,
I tell you, man, I love the fact that you've grown so much. You've come from, not knowing who you were until going into one genre of music, and now you're encompassing not only the genre but an entire section, hip hop and R&B. What is next for you?
So I think what's really important to focus on right this moment personally is the way to garner more commercial appeal. Obviously that's one of the main things, without all the still in my soul, you've heard the jabber, everybody, everybody thinks that they have it figured out. But at the end of the day, what I'm focused on right now is not only honing my abilities, right? Razor sharp edge. Like my vocals have to stay on point. I have a vocal coach. I withstand, listen to me. I withhold, okay, from any, alcohol. Like I don't drink. It's been probably 8 years since I've had a drop of alcohol in my system. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke anything really, to be honest with you. Just because of purely just vocal cords. I need to.
Yeah.
I need to be
I
able
know
to
how
do
you
that
feel.
for a good few years, to come. So when it comes to me personally, that's a lot of stuff that I'm working on. I'm in the gym heavy. I'm eating right. I'm eating healthy. I'm eating clean. A lot of that stuff. And then commercially, now that I'm under management, for the past good little while that I've been working with them, they have opened up opportunities that I've never thought about. So, working with people like I'm working with, it's easy to just let the good vibes flow at that point, right? So like I already
Yeah.
know what my sound is. I know what I'm capable of. If my manager comes to me and he goes, "Hey, this song over here, I think would be a good fit for you to want to write to this instrumental," or "Here's a song that's already written," for instance, you know what I mean? We're going to redo this song. I have to be on top of my game so I can step in the studio and knock stuff out and work. So it took, like you said, it takes a while to figure out your sound. And I think that it's important for artists to know that. Once again, don't be scared to be weird, man. Experiment, mess around. Mess around. If you're in the studio and you don't, to me, I think the most important thing about the creative process is you need to be a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe that sounds odd, but I think that if you're in the studio and you're always absolutely happy with what you're doing, you're not growing, you're not experimenting, you're not evolving. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that if you know what I'm saying? Like Kanye felt comfortable the first time he heard My Dark Twisted Fantasy from front to back. You know what I mean? Like that's anything that you make like that's going to be pivotal and, emotionally charged has to be just a little bit weird and a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit experimental. Like you need that. So at this stage in the game, I'm working with some incredible producers. I've self-produced up to this point. Like if you go on my catalog on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, whatever, you'll find beats. Obviously, I do work with producers. Like you said, the ego thing has to be gone out the window. If I, link with a producer who is an amazing producer and brings good vibes to the table, I'll absolutely work with folks. But the majority of my catalog, I have to say probably 85%, maybe 90% of my entire catalog has been self-produced. I make all the instrumentals. Like I'm aware of music theory. I compose, put stuff together, make it happen. But now I've been introduced through my management to my good buddy Jay Styles. Shout out to Jay, man. Love you, bro. The youngest member of Blackstreet, working out of EQ Studios in Charlotte, over there on the west side. We've created a 5-song EP. I'm super excited to share it with the world. It's dropping probably end of 2022, beginning of 2023, if I had to say. Don't put a date on that. But 5-song EP produced by him. He's described it personally as trap John Mayer, if that gives you any idea about the vibes. So lots of acoustic stuff, lots of trap drums, lots of 808s, lots of real soft, sultry, silky vocals. Oh, I just can't wait for you guys to hear it. But the focus now, taking that and blessing the world with it. We're able to open up opportunities like people like yourself that are giving these platforms to these artists that deserve it. And, I can't shout out you enough for, providing this platform and being able to bless folks that are blessing us back. Music holds us all together. You realize where we'd be without music? If music didn't exist, this world would be a dark, dark place. Dark place.
I'm telling you. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations on all the success. It's just, it really touches me to see people succeed. It really does. I love it. I started this platform for selfish reasons. It was just because I needed a boost. And I knew that people were out there like you that were doing things, and I wanted to talk to them. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, you have to experiment. You have to go out there, being in the studio, singing. Sometimes you hit those wrong notes, but they're so high. You didn't even know you can get that high. You're like, wait a minute, what happened?
Yeah.
So
if you don't, hey, look, beat it to death. Yeah.
You do have to do that. You're saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to get it done one way or the other. If you're not making yourself just a little bit uncomfortable, are you evolving? Are you even evolving though? You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
You're right. Well, DirtyWhite, thank you so much for being on the show. And guys, you can get him at dirtyfwhite.com or on social media, dirtyfwhite, for fabulous, fantastic, phenomenal, all the other good F words out there. Yes.
Hey, real quick, can I do a couple of shout outs?
You can do as whatever you want.
So really quickly, I just want to say again, just from the beginning, I want to shout out Miss Annie Herbin. She's a phenomenal person. She's been full steam ahead with us ever since we were introduced. My manager, Sean, put me on with her. She's the one who set us up and got us connected for this interview. Thank you, Miss Annie. I love you. Shout out to, once again, my management, Sean Bonner, Anthony Burkett, Miss Tara Thomas and her publishing agency, and her assistant, Miss Lily May, is being phenomenal. I want to shout out Brent Moore Gaskins for bringing this all together. he A&R'd this whole connection as far as my management is concerned, as well as his beautiful lady, Miss Ebony Joy. Thank you, Miss Ebony. You're phenomenal. She was part, bringing us all together, making this all happen. I want to shout out CBT Studios. This is where I currently am. That's where I'm my home base. I'm one of 3 people that maintain and pay for CT Studios to operate and be owned, independently. It's a place where I'm able to, come in here and be as uncomfortable as I can, right, while I'm creating. And, it's just a great place to call home. It's phenomenal. I just want to shout out my man TVM Killa, as well as DJ Young Will. Like I said from the beginning, we're going great places. We're going great places. This is just the beginning. The heights that we're at now is nothing compared to where I've been, but it's nothing compared to where we're going either. So thank you so much, Miss Yaya, for having me on. And it's been a great time. Absolutely.
I love it. And it's been a wonderful time of great questions, I might add.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Better than I've had. Let's just say that.
I want to thank you so much, DirtyWhite. Don't go anywhere and don't leave the platform. I'm going to go ahead and talk to you after the show. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been such a wonderful, wonderful interview. We have all of his information in the description box below. So if you want to go and check it out, just go ahead and follow and like and all that good stuff all over social media. It's DirtyWhite or DirtyWhite.com. Thank you again so much for tuning in. And
go buy some merch.
Yeah. Did he say that? Go
buy some merch.
Do what you got to do, brother. Do what you got to do. Until next time, guys, don't forget to dare to be different. Bye. I did to be different. I did.